And I forgot to add this clip on the last video. This is where we recycled the axle and wheels. We got about 640 pounds from this. They did not calculate in the actual tire weight. So we're getting a little bit done with the build so far. As you can tell, I've taken the rooftop tent off and we have painted the crossbars all the way across. I've got a lot of parts coming in the afternoon, so by the end of this video I should have a pretty good content to be added. As you can tell, we've added a box. This is going to be our storage box. This is nothing more than just your standard truck box that goes on the back. As you can tell, you've even got the space, which is nice because you can stuff some of your supplies down in there and make that. When you open this here up, there is just enough space to reach down to get your latch and the key. And what we did is we offset this to one side. So as you can tell, there's just a little bit of gap here. But on this side, there is no gap. So you cannot reach down here and get this, but the one lever does trigger both sides. So when you reach down, pop that open. Open it up. As you can tell, this is just your standard RKI. We picked this up for $120. We did have to get new locks because they only had, or they didn't have any keys, so I had to go get new locks. The locksmith local did not have any keys to make it, so he just sold me that. It was like 20 bucks for that. And we came in and bolted it down. It's got a sliding drawer, so we got enough space. I can now securely put my Honda generator in here that we do use on certain trips. But this is going to give us good storage. We made it where it comes up. It just barely has enough room to touch. As you can tell, it's not touching, but it's almost there. And when this is in the down position, this now gives us something to stand on. So when setting the tent up, we used to stand down here anyways, but this gives us just a little bit more leverage and height off of that, but won't be in the way. Also, it is helping to make sure that any of the weight that's loaded is on the tongue weight, which this trailer doesn't have that problem, but now we can really load down that back end. Our plan coming in is that's obviously our reverse light, and we'll also have a switch. I've got the switch box coming in. I'm still debating. I think I might have it up here next to it. It might even come down here to the side. I'm not 100% sure. Originally, we were going to take that box and put it the length of it. It just didn't work out right for what we wanted to do when we were trying it. So this was our solution for that. We kind of real happy with this at this point. It gives us this huge stable platform. As some of you guys know, we've discussed about the original idea being that we were going to enclose this whole area. Some of those plans have kind of changed. We're still contemplating what's going to work best for what we do on our trips. We're out here on the East Coast. We have a lot of mountains. We get a lot of rain, and we get a lot of the clay dirt. So we're having a little bit of issues with stuff that, you know, completely enclosing it in and the costs associated with it. But some of what we've been using in the past are these Ziploc. They're available at Walmart locally, and they've got a weatherproof seal, as you can tell. They've got some different sizes of them. What we're doing on ours, we've got the larger ones and the smaller ones. And if you guys aren't familiar, these are the crossbars we made in one of my last videos. And what we did with that was to be able to make the rooftop tent come off of the trailer and put on here and bolt on here, making that trip. Obviously, to make a trip like that, we do got to roll the tonneau cover up, but we do like having the factory mount on that. With being that, we also picked up this bed slide. This we ended up actually getting for $400. It was used. But that gives us now a platform while we are out on the trails. We've got an area to cook and clean if we're not using the trailer for any reason. And it actually fits these in very nicely. Our idea right now is with our little stove, this will actually slide on top and it allows us a little bit more space, and we've got some coolers in that actually fit on this. But these are some of the different size ones. As you can tell, they fit in. The hijack lift, we did get that put in on the mount. And as you can tell, that is the High Lift brand. The only issue we have is we have one of the higher, longer, whichever way you want to put it, jacks. And what ended up happening is at the very end there, it didn't fit all the way snug. Normally the hijack lifts would end right where you see the post right here, and the area where we've got that towel on it would not be out there, so it'd actually be snugged in a little bit more, but due to us having the higher one, that's just what we're doing. As you can tell, the rack, the way that this went in, we just had to do a couple bolts, bolt them through. If you are doing one of these, keep in mind these ones at the very front, You don't need a long bolt to go through the actual bedding, but you do have to have a long bolt because it happens to go right at the spot where the seam is at. And let me crawl up underneath and we'll show you that. So I know it's hard to see, but this is the beam I was telling you about. I'm gonna stick the camera up in there. And that's what makes it kind of hard. So you do have to get a long bolt. I don't remember the exact length. I think it was like 1 7/8 inches or something like that. It was a good length bolt. So we are going to come back in here and clean up some of the rust that has formed. But this overall, we're real happy with. And between this and the camper, I think we've got a good package for what works best for us. With that being in, and the side, we've still got a little storage space. And this is our lock for the tongue of the trailer. The trailer will normally be parked out back. And we'll throw the cooler in real quick. This one here is a Coleman party stacker. It basically can fit 48 cans. It is a good amount of space. And we bought this specifically because it would fit on this, make that clearance. And as you can tell, it still fits in. We're gonna do it. I've got 3 of these total. 2 of them are red, 1 of them is blue. I'm doing that. The blue is probably gonna be for our drinks, and then the red will be for our food. They are not as good as a Yeti or anything else. We do have some other coolers, but those coolers would have to be in here. And our concern was if we're out on the trails, that this might have to be parked somewhere. And if we knew that there was a potential that someone would get stolen, we wanted a way to make sure to secure that. And the best way of doing that was having it fit in the truck bed. So that was kind of our solution, and we're gonna see how that works. These were about $25 a piece on that part. So if you have any questions, let us know and we'll get the rest of this wiring done. All right, we've gotten in about half the items that I was expecting. So we're starting to lay it out and get some of this put in. This is gonna be some of our wire. It's a 3-wire. This is what we're gonna be using for some of the lights that we're gonna put up underneath, mounting up on these parts. We're gonna do red and whites for nighttime. The red generally keeps your bugs away, where the white gives you a little more light to see. So we'll have that to have dual, which is why we'll have the 3 wires. This is, we ended up getting, it's a pack of 2 boxes. It's a waterproof box. We're gonna drill in the lights onto it with the switches. The switches are waterproof with the housing that we have for it. I'm gonna end up using the red zip ties, using that on some of the wires with the SAE cables, because if you're not familiar, when these get ran, they can become opposite ends. So it'll help us just make sure which side's positive and negative, because sometimes the color of the cord might not be right. So it's one thing to keep an eye on. We're gonna have some little like Pelican style boxes. I've bought 2 different sizes, and right now our idea is we've got some smaller ones that will be kind of a throw box. We'll be able to plug it in using the SAE switch from the front. We've got the extension cables for that. And in that box, we're gonna have some of the different connectors. We're gonna have our USB, and this also gives us our battery reading on it. That's what it will look like there. We're also gonna have some of our regular 12-volt electrical sockets, and we'll be able to have one of those kind of in the back corner here, and it'll be moved anywhere in the back, and then the other one will be plugged in up in the actual tent. And that allows us to kind of cover on all of our bases. The other item I got is a battery cutoff switch. I do suggest that for anyone running. This just allows you to turn your electricity off completely on the trailer, depending on how you set it up. I'll have that power everything to be off, but it will still allow for charging capability to charge the battery up. So I'm gonna get this started and we'll finish up when the rest of the items come in. And I've gotten to a point I'm gonna kind of do a little follow-up with where I've been going. As I was talking earlier about making this box with the switches, as you can tell, I've taken the lid off and put the 4 switches in. Come up underneath, you can see I've got my main source power coming in on the back side. So it's kind of on the back with all 4 of those connected in. And then the outgoing power is on the front side, so I can access and change them if I needed. The setup could be a little bit weird. If you're not familiar with wiring, I don't suggest just go ahead and jumping into this. You do a little bit of research. As I discussed in one of my earlier videos, this wire here is coming from the front, and there's 3 wires in it. I've got it wrapped around here. Again, I'm going to clean this up later, but I've got positive coming in, which is actually going to be the red wire, and that's going through this fuse. Now it's fused up in the box also, but this is just a secondary fuse, and this gives me a disconnect location here and up here. If I ever want to take any of this apart, the wires can stay and the disconnects can go. So that's bringing the wire down and into the box, and then the wires coming back out in 2 phases. This is one of the ones coming out, and the white one is the second one coming out. The white one has 3 wires in it, a ground and 2 positives. And that will be coming up, and that's where I'm going to be putting the little tiny lights here for both the whites and the reds. I also did run the ground wire. This is coming from the front battery box. It is going to be grounded here as an extra. This is not needed because this light is already grounded through its connection right here on this. But I wanted to add just an extra in case I need it for something else later. And then I've also got my exposed wire at this time. I'll end up capping this, but this could be used for something later on too if I'm needing a negative wire to be grounded out. So I just wanted that. The way I'm going to be doing this, the switches get pulled, and as you can tell, that turns that on. So I've got access to this from the back. That is also the backup light that is connected into the reverse switch. So if I'm in the vehicle, hitting reverse, that will come on and give me the lighting. And then my other 2 switches here will be for my red and my white lighting. And I'm not sure what the 4th switch is going to be for yet. That is still kind of up for debate. I'm not sure 100%. I might end up going with just a simple floodlight off to the side that I can adjust or move, whatnot. And then, like I said, my boxes are going to contain all this, which we'll go over that as I get there. I'm going to apologize about the lighting. I had planned to get this done on a trip that we took just last weekend. I did not end up getting all my parts in. Some of the video I've got is from the trip. I'm going to show you some of the noises we discovered. So I've kind of put a stand on some of the stuff I was doing. But as you can tell, we got our battery box in. I've got all the fuses lined up here with some of the lighting on it, or the labeling. And we've got the switch, so we're going to go ahead and turn that on. I've had it turned off here. We took that trip, and this is where we're back. So down here on the side, like I showed you, we've got this wired up, and as of right now, I've got the lights. And I'm going to turn my main light off here just to show you the lighting that this now provides. These are just some of the simple marker lights. I've got them off of Amazon. And I'll put that link in here. I'm also going to be having some red ones coming in. And what I did was just mounted those up on the underside, as you can tell, and ran that wire. So that white wire is ran from over here up the side to kind of give you an idea. In the video, you can even tell when this is going, especially at low speeds, I'm having a problem with this making a little bit of noise. Where that's coming from is these were actually designed to be on top of the actual wood that's right there, and they weren't worried about noise, obviously the military. I had put these 2 bolts in on each side, hoping that that would keep the aluminum from shifting back and forth and making this, and at first it did work, but as we drove, I drove about 30 minutes up, and then we drove about another 45 minutes on the island that we were at, just kind of playing and seeing what it'd do. This has slowly kind of worked loose, where now this is all shaking. As you can tell, this has a lot of movement. The upper bolts here have all worked a little loose. It still supports the weight, but it makes so much noise. I'm going to do the first idea that I had, which is going to cost a bit more money. We're going to come in with some L bracket, and the L bracket will be from about right here all the way up to the front one, and then we're going to weld new ones of these out of metal. So it'll be a little bit heavier, but it's going to be more secure. Because of that, I'm not going to finish putting the red ones on, because I've got to pull all this back off and transfer basically the exact same design over to the metal ones. So stay tuned for that. I do got a couple more items. The 4th switch, I did figure out what I'm going to do. I actually got some chase lights that have both a white and a yellow color in them. And we're going to end up mounting those up here, and that will provide us to have light when we're down here working at a campsite, or I can put the yellow on if we do get in a heavy dust situation so people can see us. And as you can hear, this is some of the noises coming out from driving on the beach. This progressively got worse from our trip. When we first started, we had almost no noise out of it. And as you can tell, the aluminum is just kind of working itself loose, where it's just squeaking a little bit, which is why we're gonna
converted over to the metal style that will be bolted down with the EL frame, as we discussed earlier. And with that, the trailer towed very well. We were very happy with the first trip. We've got a lot of add-ons to complete the setup, which will follow up in some future videos. So just go ahead and continue to follow it, and we'll have some future videos over the next few weeks if I can get some time to start doing some builds. And if you continue watching for about another minute, we make it on the main road where we do speed up. You can see a little bit of the trailer bouncing on some of the potholes and whatnot, just to kind of see the very basics. I'm going to get some better video in the future of some highway speeds and some other stuff where you really have some better views of the trailer being towed behind, but this is the best I could do at the time.